eventually the rest of the series.
Yeah, well, that's actually key, what you just said, is you have to make your readers, because I write books too, and I have a main character, and I try to make my readers fall in love with my main character. That's very important. So there's Jessica. She's the leader. Who's next?
Then next in age would be Samuel, followed by the two twins, Alex and Christine.
Now, is Samuel based on you?
Yes, actually. I used to write actually parts of that book on paper and just drawings on holidays when I was younger, around 8. I used to just write them up and then staple the books later on and give them to friends who would want to buy it and stuff. So I've taken small scenes from my old little stories I wrote when I was 8 and put them together to come up with this book.
So the character of Samuel, what's his strength?
His strength is when he fights as a superhero, he uses a lot of, I guess you could say, boxing type combos and stuff. But he also is probably the most humorous character, though sometimes overconfident and stuff. So we tried to make him one of the more cooler characters in the story.
So he's like the knight in shining armor.
Yes.
Okay, he's the defender. He is the true defender. And the twins, what did the twins do?
Yes, well, one of the twins, Zach, is sometimes very clumsy and stuff and doesn't always believe in himself. But in the book, he finds out that he is one of the biggest parts of the team. And the whole basis of the story is that you can't do anything not as a team. So they find out how they need each other.
Oh, there's a lot of lessons in there. That's very good. And the fifth character?
Fifth character is Christine. She is obviously focused on a lot of things like being popular at school, her beauty, and all the other kind of things. Plus, she's a really humorous character as well. But in the story, I tried to, her relationship with Jessica and stuff, and how sometimes they get along a lot and sometimes they don't always. So you try to develop them and make it that like each person who reads it can have a character which they can relate to, because I think that is how you really win fans of your books.
Now, what I find fascinating is that that you started this at such an early age, and you really have a very good handle on what's important about characters and plot, and you have a message in your book. How did that all happen? How did that develop? I noticed that you're home taught, not home teach, but home taught. And was there something about your home teaching experience that enabled you to pretty much blossom as a writer?
Well, my mom used to write a little bit. She loved to write just as much as me, so I kind of think that carried over to me also, like some of my writing abilities. But being homeschooled is fun by her. She helps me, obviously, with my writings, but with the rest of my schoolwork as well. And sometimes the things I read in some of my classes, I'm like, maybe I could make that relatable in my book somehow. In certain classes, like history, one of my favorite things to do, because I can make a lot of references to a lot of historic, realistic things in the stories. So I try to make it relatable.
Those lessons that you're trying to teach, it's important to tie them to history, because there is a saying also, those who fail to learn the lessons of history are doomed to repeat them.
Right.
And so you can use those, those lessons and those stories, which are always so interesting, about how people fail to do what you're suggesting to them, and that they got themselves into trouble. So that tie-in is really nice. Do you think that in home teaching you were less distracted and had more time to develop a writing style?
Yes, I believe one of the things, there's an advantage is that my mom can help me out, just me sometimes, as well as my brother, instead of being in a class sometimes with 30, 40 other kids and I have to wait, because she's like always there and always able to help me out whenever I need it. And it's a nice experience, but she's also tough on me too, so it's good that I know that I can have fun and stuff with it, but I still have to get proper grades, or else I won't be able to do certain things like sports, or I have to work later on, which takes away from some of my writing time.
Right. And all of your siblings are home taught as well? So it's like a little schoolhouse there. Yeah, that's must be very, very pleasant. So what are your future plans?
I hope to one day continue writing and obviously finish the series of the Galactic Defenders and I have a planned sequel for Kids Financial Study before I move on to some other books ideas. But I also play tennis a little bit competitively, and I would like to see how far I can go in that too. Obviously against some really high-level tournaments, and just see how far it can take me. So I have to try both areas.
Are you planning to go to college?
I'm gonna start looking with my parents probably this year.
What would you
'Cause,
like to major in?
Probably finances or business, because that would, I think,
You
I
already
already do a little bit of that. So
Yeah, you have an interest in it. And certainly when you get into college and you start taking the courses, you'll know whether you like it or not.
yes,
Because what happens in college is the courses are so much more intense and challenging than, I mean, even if you had gone to public school, you would see the difference. I mean, all the kids that I had, my students who came back and talked to me after they left me in high school and went on to college, would talk about, well, boy, we wish we were back in your class because you made it fun, and now we have to really work. So not that I'm saying that that's going to happen to you, but you'll certainly find out whether you want to follow the field of finance when you get to college. And so you want to finish the series. Do you have ideas for other books?
yes, I have some other books. I actually have some books that I would like to do off some interesting facts I learned while doing some history classes in schools. So I'd like to perhaps do some books on that, as well as some books based on just mostly humor and stuff, because I like to do some humorous productions as well. So I hope I can do that in the future, as well as continue to write whatever comes to my mind.
Yeah, I'm really glad that you said that you're into humor, because finance is so serious, and humor is good for the soul, I think. I like humor. I know in my own books I try to make things fun, and I want the people who read them, even though I do have lessons embedded in my stories, I want people to really enjoy what they're reading. And I think that's a gift, to be able to teach a lesson and use humor at the same time, which from the sound of it, I'm really hoping that you either do the video game or the movie, because it'll be interesting to see. But even if you did the movie as an amateur, if you learned script writing,
Right.
and then you did the movie because when you go to college, you'd be amazed at what kinds of resources you have to do that kind of thing. And so you may major in finance, but you could also minor in movie production, media production. So
Right.
I think you have a really bright future. I expect I'm going to be hearing from you, Samuel R. Yuen. So it was great to have you on the show. Thank you for
Yes.
coming.
Thank you so much
Do you have
for
any
having me.
last few words for your youthful following?
Yes, that never give up. You can obviously do things at a young age. It's very slow to process sometimes, and it sometimes still is slow, but if you keep at it and stuff and have fun with it like I do, because when I write, I try to not make it stressful but fun. It can go as far as it can take you, so have fun with it and just always test your potential.
Those are very good words of advice. When people ask me, because this is really my second career, I taught for a number of years, and so writing books and doing this TV show is a second career. And people say, well, how did you do that? And I always say, I paid attention in school, I studied hard, and I did my homework. And I think there's a lot, to me, that's a big message. But people will look at me like, what? But if you really think about it, you need a foundation for whatever you do. You need that foundation of knowledge, and you
Right.
need the discipline to do it. And that's what you're saying. So
Yes.
it's the same thing, but mine is like a little tongue-in-cheek. It's a little bit of my own snarky humor.
Right.
That was great.
Yes.
You did good.
Thank you. It was fun.
Yeah.